What if one simple habit, eating one specific fruit before you go to bed each night, could make a meaningful difference to the health of your kidneys over time? Most people never think about their kidneys until something goes wrong. And by the time something does go wrong, it's often been building quietly for years. But today we're going to talk about something different. We're going to talk about something you can actually do, starting tonight, that supports kidney health in a way that most people have never been told. Stay with us until the end, because we're also going to explain exactly how this fruit works inside your body, what to be careful of depending on your health situation, and why the timing of eating it before bed specifically matters more than you might think. Before we get to the fruit itself, let's take a moment to understand why kidney health deserves far more attention than most people give it. Your kidneys are two fist-sized organs sitting on either side of your spine, just below your rib cage, and they are working every single minute of every single day. They filter approximately 120 to 150 quarts of blood daily, removing waste products and excess fluid that then leave the body as urine. They regulate blood pressure, balance electrolytes like potassium, sodium, and phosphorus, produce hormones that stimulate red blood cell production, and activate vitamin D for bone health. The kidneys are, in other words, doing an enormous amount of work with very little recognition. And unlike the heart, which announces problems loudly through chest pain and breathlessness, the kidneys tend to suffer in silence. Chronic kidney disease often has no noticeable symptoms until kidney function has already declined significantly, which is part of why supporting kidney health proactively, through diet and lifestyle, matters so much. The fruit we're talking about today is watermelon. And before you think this sounds too simple or too obvious to be meaningful, let's go through the specific reasons why watermelon, eaten in the right way and at the right time, has genuine nutritional properties that support kidney function in ways that are well supported by food science and nutrition research. The first reason watermelon is particularly relevant to kidney health is its water content. Watermelon is composed of approximately 92% water, making it one of the most hydrating foods that exists in nature. This matters for kidney health in a very direct way. The kidneys rely on adequate fluid to filter blood effectively and flush waste products and mineral deposits through the urinary tract. When the body is mildly dehydrated, the kidneys have to work harder to concentrate urine and conserve fluid, which places additional strain on them over time. Consistently eating a food with extremely high water content before bed means your body is entering its overnight hours with a meaningful top-up of hydration at a time when you won't be drinking for several hours. This gentle, sustained hydration during sleep supports the kidneys in continuing their filtration work through the night without the added strain of dehydration. The second reason is an amino acid called citrulline, which is found in watermelon in amounts that make it one of the richest dietary sources of this compound available. Citrulline plays a specific role in the body's urea cycle, which is the biological process through which the body processes and eliminates ammonia, a waste product of protein metabolism. The kidneys are directly involved in this process, and citrulline supports it by being converted in the body first to arginine and then to compounds that support healthy blood vessel function and circulation. Improved circulation means better blood flow to the kidneys, and better blood flow means the kidneys can filter more efficiently. Some research has also explored the role of citrulline in supporting blood pressure regulation, which is directly connected to kidney health since high blood pressure is one of the leading causes of kidney damage over time. The third reason is watermelon's content of lycopene, a powerful antioxidant that gives watermelon its characteristic red color. Lycopene is one of the most studied antioxidants in nutritional science, and its relevance to kidney health comes from its role in reducing oxidative stress. Oxidative stress occurs when there is an imbalance between free radicals and the body's antioxidant defenses, and the kidneys, as one of the body's most metabolically active organs, are particularly vulnerable to oxidative damage over time. Research has consistently associated higher dietary intake of lycopene with reduced markers of oxidative stress, and reducing oxidative stress in the kidneys is associated with better long-term kidney function. Watermelon, interestingly, contains significantly more lycopene than raw tomatoes by weight, making it one of the most lycopene-dense foods available in everyday diets. The fourth reason involves potassium, and here is where we need to be careful and clear, because potassium has a complex relationship with kidney health. For people with healthy kidneys, the potassium in watermelon is beneficial. Potassium supports healthy blood pressure by balancing the effects of sodium, and since uncontrolled high blood pressure is one of the primary drivers of kidney damage, keeping blood pressure in a healthy range is fundamentally kidney protective. Watermelon contains a moderate amount of potassium, not excessive, but meaningful enough to contribute to this benefit in the context of an overall balanced diet. However, and this is critically important, for people who already have diagnosed kidney disease or significantly reduced kidney function, the kidneys may no longer be able to regulate potassium levels effectively, and consuming high potassium foods can actually be dangerous for these individuals. If you have any existing kidney condition, a history of kidney disease, or are currently under the care of a nephrologist or doctor for kidney-related issues, you must speak with your doctor before changing your diet in any way based on general information like this video. The guidance here is specifically relevant to people with healthy or generally healthy kidney function who are interested in supporting their kidneys proactively. Now let's talk specifically about the timing and why before bed in particular. The body does a great deal of its repair and maintenance work during sleep. Cellular processes that restore tissue, clear waste from the brain, regulate hormones, and support immune function all operate more actively during sleep than during waking hours. The kidneys are no different. During sleep, certain kidney functions, including renin secretion, which affects blood pressure regulation, and the filtration of specific waste compounds, follow circadian patterns that make overnight function particularly important. Eating a highly hydrating, antioxidant-rich, citrulline-containing food before sleep gives the kidneys resources that are particularly useful precisely at the time they're most actively engaged in overnight regulatory work. It also means the body doesn't have to pull hydration resources from other tissues during sleep in order to maintain kidney filtration, which is a quiet but meaningful advantage. There is also a practical reason the before-bed timing matters. Many people find that by the evening and approaching bedtime, their overall food consumption for the day has tapered off, and they may be feeling slightly hungry or wanting something light. Reaching for watermelon in this window rather than a heavier snack, a sugary dessert, or a processed food means you're ending the day with a food that contributes genuine nutritional value, hydration, and antioxidant support rather than simply adding calories and sugar that need to be processed overnight. This substitution effect is itself meaningful for kidney health over time, since diets high in processed foods, refined sugar, and artificial additives place a greater filtration burden on the kidneys than whole, water-rich fruits. Let's also talk about what makes kidneys vulnerable in the first place, because this context helps explain why something as simple as a consistent dietary habit can be genuinely protective over time. The most common risk factors for kidney damage and chronic kidney disease are high blood pressure, diabetes or chronically elevated blood sugar, obesity, chronic dehydration, excessive regular use of certain over-the-counter pain medications, a diet very high in sodium, and consistent underconsumption of water and hydrating foods. Watermelon, through its combination of high water content, citrulline supporting blood pressure and circulation, lycopene reducing oxidative stress, and its natural sweetness that can satisfy cravings in place of processed desserts, addresses several of these risk factors simultaneously in a way that very few single foods do. It's also worth mentioning that watermelon is relatively low in calories for its volume, meaning it's easy to eat a satisfying portion without consuming excessive calories late in the day. A generous serving of watermelon in the evening is filling, hydrating, sweet enough to feel like a treat, and genuinely nutritious in ways that directly support the organ system that most people neglect until something has already gone wrong. Something else worth discussing is how to choose and prepare watermelon for the best results. Fresh, ripe watermelon is significantly more nutritious than processed watermelon products. Watermelon juice sold commercially often contains added sugar and has lost much of the fiber that would otherwise slow the release of natural fruit sugars. Watermelon candy, flavored products, or artificially flavored items have essentially nothing in common nutritionally with actual watermelon. The recommendation here is specifically for fresh watermelon, eaten as a whole food, in a portion that feels satisfying without being excessive. Roughly 2 cups of fresh watermelon before bed is a reasonable starting point for most people, providing meaningful hydration, citrulline, lycopene, and natural sweetness without an excessive sugar load late in the day. Let's go a little deeper into the science of citrulline specifically, because this is one of the most fascinating and least known aspects of watermelon's nutritional profile. Citrulline was actually first identified and isolated from watermelon, and the name itself comes from citrullus, the Latin name for the watermelon plant. When you eat watermelon, the citrulline it contains is absorbed in the intestines and then converted in the kidneys themselves into arginine. This is important because the kidneys are one of the primary sites in the body where this conversion takes place, meaning the kidneys are directly involved in processing citrulline and are therefore directly exposed to the beneficial byproducts of this process. Arginine in turn is used to produce nitric oxide, a compound that relaxes and dilates blood vessels, improving blood flow throughout the body including to the kidneys. Better blood flow to the kidneys means more efficient filtration and less strain on the organ over time. This is not a theoretical or abstract benefit. The relationship between nitric oxide, blood vessel health, and kidney function is one of the well-established connections in nephrology and cardiovascular medicine. The relationship between blood pressure and kidney health also deserves a more thorough explanation because so many people don't fully understand why one affects the others so directly. When blood pressure is consistently high, the small, delicate blood vessels inside the kidneys, called glomeruli, are subjected to abnormal force with every heartbeat. Over time, this repeated mechanical stress damages these tiny vessels, reducing their ability to filter blood effectively and causing scar tissue to develop in their place. As more glomeruli become scarred and non-functional, kidney filtration capacity drops, which itself can cause blood pressure to rise further because the kidneys are less able to regulate fluid volume and electrolyte balance. This creates a self-reinforcing cycle of damage that is one of the most common pathways to chronic kidney disease. Supporting healthy blood pressure through diet, including through foods like watermelon that contribute to healthy blood vessel function, directly interrupts this cycle before it gets established. Lycopene also deserves a deeper look because its role in kidney health goes beyond simple antioxidant activity. Research into lycopene has explored its potential to reduce inflammation at the cellular level, and inflammation is increasingly understood to be a central driver of chronic kidney disease progression. The kidneys contain a significant number of immune cells, and when these cells become chronically activated by oxidative stress, poor diet, high blood sugar, or other chronic stressors, the resulting low-grade inflammation gradually damages kidney tissue over years and decades. A consistent intake of lycopene through foods like watermelon provides the kidney tissue with a regular supply of a compound that actively counteracts this inflammatory process. This doesn't mean watermelon treats kidney disease, but it does mean that for someone with healthy kidneys who wants to keep them that way, regularly eating lycopene-rich foods is one of the more evidence-supported dietary habits they can adopt. It's also worth taking a moment to understand the overnight physiology of the kidneys in a bit more detail, since this directly supports the before-bed timing recommendation. During the day, the kidneys are primarily responding to the demands of an active body, filtering a continuous flow of nutrients, metabolic waste, and fluid from a person who is eating, moving, and experiencing the hormonal fluctuations of wakefulness. At night, with the body at rest and the stress hormone cortisol at its lowest point, the kidneys shift toward a slightly different mode of function. Blood pressure naturally dips during sleep in healthy individuals, and this nightly dip, sometimes called nocturnal dipping, is actually associated with better long-term kidney outcomes. The kidneys use this lower pressure overnight window to perform maintenance functions that are complemented by adequate hydration and antioxidant availability. Providing that hydration and those antioxidants through a water-rich, lycopene-containing food just before sleep is a way of aligning dietary intake with the body's own overnight rhythms in a way that genuinely makes sense from a physiological perspective. Another dimension worth discussing is the cumulative nature of dietary habits and how they relate to organ health over a lifetime. One serving of watermelon before bed on one occasion is not going to transform kidney health. But a consistent habit, practiced most evenings over months and years, becomes part of the nutritional environment in which the kidneys are living and working every day. The kidneys that are regularly supplied with high-quality hydration, citrulline, lycopene, and moderate potassium exist in a slightly more favorable biochemical environment than kidneys that are regularly dealing with dehydration, oxidative stress, and nutritional deficiency. Over a decade or 2 decades of consistent difference in that environment, the cumulative effect on kidney function can be genuinely meaningful, even if no single day of eating watermelon produces a noticeable change. This is how dietary habits work for long-term organ health generally, and it's why the conversation about kidney-supportive eating is worth having long before any kidney-related symptoms appear. It's also worth mentioning that while watermelon is the focus of this video based on its unique nutritional profile relevant to kidney health, it's not a magic solution on its own. Kidney health, like all aspects of long-term health, is the result of many consistent habits working together. Drinking adequate water throughout the day, reducing sodium intake, keeping blood pressure in a healthy range, managing blood sugar, avoiding regular excessive use of anti-inflammatory pain relievers, staying physically active, and attending regular health checkups that include kidney function tests are all foundational practices that no single food can replace. What watermelon can do is be a consistent, enjoyable, nutritionally meaningful part of a broader approach to kidney health that, over time, adds up to real protection for one of the body's most essential and underappreciated organ systems. One more thing worth addressing is the question of whether watermelon is suitable for everyone before bed. For most healthy adults, it is a safe and beneficial choice. However, people with diabetes or insulin resistance should be aware that watermelon does have a relatively high glycemic index, meaning its natural sugars can affect blood sugar more quickly than lower glycemic fruits. Eating it in a reasonable portion alongside other foods rather than in very large quantities on an empty stomach is a sensible approach for anyone monitoring their blood sugar. And again, for anyone with existing kidney disease, elevated potassium levels, or any kidney-related medical condition, individual dietary guidance from a qualified doctor or dietitian should always take precedence over general information. Before we close, it's worth repeating clearly that this video is for general educational and nutritional awareness purposes only. It does not constitute medical advice, and no dietary change should be made in place of professional guidance, particularly for anyone managing a health condition. The kidneys are remarkable organs that deserve proactive care, and understanding the nutritional tools available to support them is a meaningful step in the right direction. If this video gave you a new way to think about supporting your kidney health through something as simple and enjoyable as what you eat before bed, please share it with someone who might benefit from knowing this too. If you found this video helpful, please like it and subscribe to the channel for more content like this every week.